So, as you've probably noticed, this channel covers a lot of Monster Hunter, and sometimes Apex Legends, and sometimes other games. And so in this video, I kind of wanted to share one of the reasons why I'm into Monster Hunter so much, and why I struggled with competitive gaming for a long time. And not why I got back into it, although I can share that story too if we need to, but I just kind of really wanted to share this story. I think it's an interesting story from my history and my long, probably 30 plus years of playing games. And yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Like I said, it comes from my childhood, but I'm going to go back a little bit before that or after that into my teenage years, where Street Fighter had just released and it was all the rage. I know for a lot of younger viewers, perhaps arcades are not really a thing. I know they got Dave and Buster's, but back then, every kid, every teenage kid, boy was hitting, or girls too, mostly dudes though back then, were hitting the arcade playing Street Fighter. Literally just tons of machines. And I was terrible at it. In the arcade, I was terrible at it. I mean, to be honest, I'm probably a mediocre or sub-mediocre Street Fighter player currently. But, I understand the basics. But anyway, when Street Fighter came out in the arcade, I was horrible. I lost all day, every day, and it wasn't that big of a deal. I was terrible with the joysticks. It wasn't until it came out on Super Nintendo when I really started to come into my own with Street Fighter and started really winning some matches. But then, other fighting games would come out, like Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat. And this is where I have some embarrassing stories to share, or an embarrassing one. Which is, I remember one time I was playing with my bud, Unique Breed. We were playing Killer Instinct. We were playing Killer Instinct. And I just could not get through his defenses. He was blocking everything, dodging everything. I just could not hit him. And it was frustrating. I was getting so annoyed. And I remember him yelling back at me because I was getting so annoyed. What do you expect me to do? Just stand there and let you hit me? And I didn't like his response, but I mean, he's right. This is part of the game. Blocking is part of the game. You can't expect me not to block, right? But that wasn't the end. There was another moment I had with the exact same dude where we were playing Armored Core, and I had kitted my mech, my Armored Core all the way out. I thought I had everything decked out. I thought I had all the secrets he didn't know about. It didn't matter though, because he knew how to outmaneuver everything I did. So I couldn't hit him, and he was just constantly flooring me over and over again. And I just remember being so annoyed. I can't remember the words I said, but I remember he also was just kind of over it. He was like, bro, you need to chill the hell out. I mean, I don't think that's what he said, but it was just it was an embarrassing moment for me. And it's basically what kind of made me realize I need to step back from this competitive game stuff. I'm a very poor loser. And so this hiatus was what I missed when I took this long hiatus. I missed probably a lot of the good days that some of you remember with Call of Duty or Halo, where the memories for those. I've heard other people talk about, the good old days when the chat, and people talking crap and, all this fun stuff. What people think was fun, it would have been terrible for me. And I'm kind of glad I did miss the Halo and Call of Duty days. And the reason why is because I really believe this is all connected to a childhood story with my father. And it was when I was probably about 10 years old, maybe 11, maybe 9, 10 or 11 years old, back in the 1980s with the Nintendo Entertainment System, the original 8-bit bad boy. We were playing Baseball Simulator 1000 or 1, I'm not sure, but we called it 1000. And the thing is, my father loves baseball. He loved baseball. And, I did too. So it was natural for us to compete, against each other and play baseball against each other. The problem was I was not as an adult or a young teenager, I was a sore loser. But as a kid, I was a poor winner. All right, my dad, when we would play, every pitch he pitched was a home run, a double. I was beating with the 10-run rule in that game consistently. He could just not stop me, and I would strike him out, get him out. He just could not beat me. And it got to the point where I was rubbing it in his face, being a total jerk. And I was bad. I was a bad winner, a bad winner. And he basically snapped at me. He was just kind of like, hey, and my mother was there, not in the room, but she was off to the side. I think she was in the kitchen or in her room, and she pulled me aside. And she kind of gave me this talk. I don't remember the words verbatim. I'm old now. I'm in my 40s. But she gave me this advice where she was like, hey, you don't have to be like that when you're winning. That was the gist of what she was saying. And I remember I was trying, when you're young and you're coming to your own, you're snapping, rebelling back at your parents a little bit. I remember telling my mom, like, well, it's not fair though. Why should he get mad at me, for winning, right? I'm just playing the game. What's the big deal? Why do I have to do anything nice for him? Why do I have to be nice? I'm winning. If he can't beat me, that's his problem, right? I remember coming back and she was just like, trying to basically educate me on how to be a good competitor, how to be a good sport, it's like, why do we shake hands at the end of baseball games? Why, you know what I mean? Like, it's why partially, like, for instance, if you watch MMA, why I don't like the guys that just go in for the kills. I love the guys that when they catch that knockout, they know and they back off and they respectfully, they won. And I love respect in competitive sports. When there's a lot of hoot and hollering, I never like that, and it's because of that particular moment, right, where my mother was trying to educate me on how to be a good sport. The problem is, and this, has carried with me throughout the years, even now, is unfortunately, I didn't learn the lesson properly. Instead of going back and just beating my father, still winning games, but trying to help my father learn how to improve his game, or just being a good sport at winning, instead of rubbing it in his face and being a jerk, Instead, what I chose to do was I chose to let my father win. I would throw bad pitches on purpose. I would strike out on purpose. I would pretend to miss catches out in the outfield like I made an error. There were the many things, and I would act like, oh man, I can't believe that's amazing. That's crazy. You got that. You hit that. Like, how did you get away with it? Or how, man, I would just totally act. Which was the completely wrong thing to do when I look back at it now, and I believe because I chose to do that, I believe it's still what carried into my teenage years, where I expected people to play with some kind of code, like where, it's kind of like when back in the 90s when you would play Street Fighter and people would give seconds, and I believe this is the biggest reason why I struggle with, because instead of taking that moment, my mother was trying to teach me how to, I can beat my father, but not be a horrible winner. I didn't know how to do that at the time. At the time, I just knew, I didn't want him to yell at me again, and instead I just chose to let him win. And I believe because of that poor mistake that I made as a 10-year-old boy, it's why I struggled when my good buddies talked me into playing Apex Legends with them. When they initially asked me to play, and I think I might have told this story in other videos, but when they initially asked me to play, at first I was like, no, I don't want to get back into competitive games because I knew who I was, or I am. I knew that it's difficult for me to engage competitively without being a sore loser. But then I didn't want to be selfish because they were playing Monster Hunter with me, so I said, okay, fine, let's try. So I remember we put in Apex. I downloaded it, and I remember the first, few matches we played. I was like, I'm over this game. I was like, screw this. I'm done. I deleted it the same day. But again, I thought about it some more, and I was like, Rodney, you're being selfish. You can get back in this and play with them, And sure enough, and I got back into it, and it's probably been one of the most fun, addicting games I've played in a long time. I'm glad that I've returned to the competitive scene. However, like they've told me, or at least one of them told me, like sometimes when I would get really frustrated about losing, and it sucks, we would lose constantly, and I would always express frustration over skill-based matchmaking and whatever else. I'm tired of getting killed by predators and whatnot. It didn't. He would express, one of my friends expressed to me, like, hey, it's uncomfortable sometimes when you get really frustrated, And so I've had to go back and look into myself and go, why do I get so frustrated when I watch other people who play on their YouTube channels when they're having fun, And I'm like, I do have fun. And I think the part of it is because I hate losing. And I love winning so much. Who doesn't, right? But I couldn't help but realize when I thought about this so much that a lot of this really had to do with that lesson that I overlooked. That as a kid, I chose the wrong path. And it basically put me on a path of how I expected people to play, as opposed to trying to just improve myself, right? If, you know what I mean? Same thing like my father, you know, I can't get mad at the other person for beating me. What I can get mad at is myself, and I need to get better, right? I need to improve my game, or perhaps learn from people who are better, right? What did they do to beat me, and how can I use that next time? But I didn't. I didn't learn that lesson as a kid. And so, if you're wondering why I'm sharing this story, or why I'm making this video, and it's because my father passed away on January 30th, and that's why we've been away from making videos for so long. I've had to take time to piece my life back together, and I wanted to come back and tell you guys that, but I also wanted to say how could I tell this story and also make it about games. So this is how I chose to do it, was by remembering a memory I had with my father with games. You know, it felt like the right way to do it. I mean, mostly because I never got to tell him that I did that. And at one point in my life, I wanted to, you know, like, hey, man, you know, this happened, you know, when we were kids. I let you win, you know, and we could laugh about it and be like, well, really, you know, but now I can never tell him. So I just wanted to put it out there, you know, that I let my dad win, and I didn't learn the lesson. I didn't learn the right lesson to play competitive games right. So I don't think I have anything else. This is all I wanted to say. I do have something else. What I want to say is also that my father's passing, not only did I realize that I missed that lesson, but another lesson that we picked up from this, or at least I did, was looking at a lot of photos from my childhood when I would look reflecting back on his life. And it's kind of crazy. I don't know if you've ever lost someone, but it's kind of crazy when you start looking back at it. And I used to never think the saying "life is short" was accurate. I used to think life is life. You know, it just moves along at the pace that it does. But it's crazy when you start looking at pictures and you realize that they were just here, you know, and that wasn't that long ago, you know. So although I do have videos in the queue that are ready to go. We do have videos that I want to share. They're so Monster Hunter related. I do have some Apex Legends videos that are related. We do have some that are set up and ready to go. And I do have a couple ideas I still want to cover. But I really do believe at some point, and I mean, I'm not going to say retire fully from Monster Hunter videos, but I really want to probably try to incorporate more different videos of different video games. And the reason why is because when I was in my teenage years, I played just about every gaming system. I had owned everyone. We played just about everything. Xbox, Genesis, Super Nintendo, PlayStation. I'm not a fanboy. I will play any video game on any system I can get my hands on. And my father's passing made me really realize life is short. Life is short. And as much as I wanted to really hit the Monster Hunter community is with, you know, the YouTube videos, and possibly, you know, I was aspiring to be as good as, you know, someone who's obviously he doesn't put as much work anymore, but like, you know, Gaijin Hunter or Rurikon, I was like, maybe I can squeeze myself into that market and, you know, be another voice. But I've had very terrible success, and I don't want to making videos about getting that success anymore. I just want to make videos about my experiences and my thoughts. That's really all I want to do. And if people want to tag along and jump on for it, cool. But if not, you know, oh well, you know, I just want to be able to continue to document my journey with games, you know, because it's been a long one. It's been a long journey. Like I said, I don't know if I said it earlier, but like it's been over 30 years, 30 plus years, I'm pretty sure 33, 34 years of gaming. It's been a long time. Yeah, more than 34 years. You know, probably close to 40 years of gaming. So I really want to be able to make that's what I'm about. You know, if I play a game, I want to give thoughts on it. I want to give, you know, good or bad, just share my thoughts on what I experienced when I played that game. Not necessarily reviews. Still, I'll probably still go for the here's how I would have done it if I was making, or how I would improve it. Especially since developers, you know, you never know. Maybe you might touch the right one and they'll be like, yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah, that's how I decided to come back and share my story with my father. We had a lot of time, a lot of fun playing games together up until when my parents got divorced and we stopped gaming, and my dad kind of got out of gaming. It was weird. But as kids, we loved playing games together. And that's basically it. This is why we've been absent. This is where I plan to go. And if you want to stick around, I know some of you are, you know, I don't know who you are, some of the subscribers. I know a lot of it's my family and friends, but I hope you'll stick around, whoever you are. And Cringe, I hope you're definitely one of my, what I set out to do with the channel was, you know, connect. Well, not when it morphed, I wanted to create a place where I could connect with more people who would want to share thoughts and share ideas. But I found that sometimes in some of my videos with the comments, it's more of like you know, it's like I just wanted to yell at you really quick or share my thoughts, and they don't really want to engage, which is really what I wanted. Mostly was just to be able to engage with the audience. One of the things I used to always not like about other YouTube channels is when they say, hey, talk to me in the comment section, and they don't really talk back. My goal was like, I'm going to change that. I'm going to really try to reach out to everyone as much as possible and incorporate them in the videos and talk to them. And there's some proof in that, like Cringe. I know you saw. There's probably like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 videos I made based on, you know, comments you made. I was like, well, let me respond to them, and that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to have this thing where I could have it back and forth with everyone. But I think I'm just gonna go forward. I mean, going forward, like I said, we do have Monster Hunter videos in the queue, and I do have other Apex Legends videos in the queue. But once I finish those and I finish the ideas that I've written down, I'm probably going to start really trying to mix in more videos about more different games. Although that'll be kind of hard because I do, like, there's some single player games I want to play, and I'll try to end with this. One of the biggest reasons why we don't play a lot of single player games is once I got married, I wanted to play games with my wife. I didn't want her to just sit there and watch me. So if I do play or we do share stories on more games, it will be ones either my wife is interested in watching, Rika's interested in watching, or more multiplayer games where I can play with my friends, because that's what I want to do. I love the internet. I love how it's made it so we can bring all our living rooms together in one big living room on the internet digitally. You know, we're all far apart, but we can still play. So with that said, I'll just say thanks for watching. And if you're a new subscriber, thanks for subscribing. See you next time.